ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. Pranams to the lotus feet of the Lord, pranams to all the Mahatmas and Gurujis, pranams to all of you. ದಿಕ್ಕಾಲ ಆದಿ ಅವಚ್ಚಿನ್ನ ಆನಂದ ಚಿನ್ಮಾತ್ರ ಮೂರ್ತಯೇ ಸ್ವಾನುಭೂತ್ಯ ಏಕಮಾನಾಯ ನಮಃ ಶಾಂತಾಯ ತೇಜಸೇ. This is the Mangala Shlokam, Dhyana Shlokam, which we will chant in every class. Now we will go to the shloka which we are seeing in the last class. केयूराणिन भूषयन्ति पुरुषं हारान चन्द्रोज्ज्वला न स्नानं न विलेपनं न कुसुमं नालङ्कृता मूर्धजाः वाणी समलङ्करोति पुरुषं या संस्कृता धार्यते शीयन्ते अखिल भूषणानि सततं वाग्भूषणं भूषणम्. The faculty of speech is not only a powerful instrument, but it is also an ornament to a person. Speech can become an ornament only if it is a Samskrita Vani, only if it is a refined speech. The next question is, what is a refined speech? I said we get the answer in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna presents 4 conditions for the speech to be Samskrita or Satviki. We saw those 4 conditions in the last class. First, it should be Satyam, truthful. Secondly, it should be Anudvegakaram, non-hurting. Thirdly, it should be Priyam. It should be mixed with the feeling of love, care, compassion, and consideration. And fourthly, it should be Hitam. It should be for good of the listeners also. So I say listeners also because when I speak, I will certainly take into account my welfare. That is natural. But what Krishna says is that my welfare alone is not enough. It should be for the welfare of the listeners also. Shankaracharya pointed out in his commentary that all the 4 conditions are equally important. Then we were analyzing a situation which often comes. It is that we have to communicate something to a person, and our intention is that it should be for the well-being of the person. And our speech is also truthful. Therefore, our intention is very good. We speak truth and it is for the good of the person. But that happens to be hurtful to the other person. It is not a pleasant truth. So if there are pleasant truths, often there are unpleasant truths also. If there are soothing truths, often there are hurting truths also. We have to convey such a thing which is Satyam and Hitam, but not Priyam and Anudvekakaram. Now our first attempt is to avoid telling that. But if you avoid telling the truth, it may affect the future of that person, because the person may be my own son or daughter, or my own brother or sister, or wife or husband. Therefore, I cannot withdraw from saying that. At the same time, if I tell it, it is going to be painful. Then what to do? We have to convey somehow. So to convey such a thing, we have to remember certain fundamental rules. When we have to reveal a hurting truth just to educate that person, just to correct that person, just as constructive criticism, it can work only if I am held in a great respect by that person. Constructive criticism will work only if the listener has got a very great regard for me. No one has got a great regard, including our own children. In fact, if we are ready to permit, the children are ready to advise us also. When they come and talk, their very attitude is that the poor parents of olden days are not aware of the modern things which is happening. They still say that you are living in the 18th century. Therefore, constructive criticism can work only if I am greatly respected by the listener, including our children. If I have maintained that respect, I can tell and I can call and tell that person what the person is doing is wrong. Better you stop it. You can say that. If I'm so powerful, and the other person will at least say that he will consider. So I should have that respect. If I do not have that respect, it will be it will boomerang, because the other person will not only will not listen, but he will charge back. You will find that for one criticism that I make, he will come up with 100 charges. Then not only will I miserably fail, but I will also have to face this problem. Then my attempt will be to defend myself on the charges that he has made, because he has diverted the topic. Therefore, one method is to have the status, but it is very difficult. If I don't have the status, the next thing that I can do is, for any constructive criticism which is definitely going to hurt the other person, I have to pad it with sufficient number of glorifications. Before you hit, you give an anesthesia so that it will not have the pain. So for one criticism, you have to give minimum 10 glorifications, and in the end casually mention it, that it will be good for you if you can correct this small problem. After saying that, you have to disappear from there and pray and hope this casual statement has somehow entered into his mind and he has started working on it. We can only pray for it. It may work immediately, or it may not work sometime, or it may work lately, we do not know. And the second method is there. What is that? Pad criticism with, this is the second method, pad criticism with glorification. That is, pad every kandanam with mandanam. And now you can try this with your spouse, children. It is a very interesting adventure. If both of these things are not possible, the next alternative is, now instead of direct communication, I have to work indirectly. If a person has got a particular weakness that I want to point out, I have to introduce another person who does not have this weakness and start glorifying him. When I repeatedly introduce that aspect, chances are that the other person grabs that positive point, which can gradually remove this weakness. This is another method. Or other method is, for example, the person is close to me. For example, I want to tell something to my son. Okay, but my son always looks at me like an enemy, because typically father and son relationship is what, in most of the places, son will look at the father as the enemy. Who is close to the son? The mother. So what technique, another technique you can do is, you can ask the spouse, your wife, to tell the son that this is what it is which is good for him, he has to correct himself. And probably the person will have a better listening capacity to the mother than to the father. So you can try that technique also. So this is called apriya patyam. Apriya patyam means what? Either glorify something, nah, and then you tell him to come also to do it. So what does apriya patyam means? It is that which is good but not very pleasant. When we have to convey apriya patyam, it is very difficult. Even if you convey, often it may not be taken. We should be ready for failure. In fact, that is beautifully said in Mahabharata. One shlokam is coming. Sulabha Purusha Rajan Satatam Priyavadinah Apriyasya Patyasya Vakta Shota Cha Durlabha. Sulabha Purusha Rajan Satatam Priyavadinah Apriyasya Patyasya Vakta Shota Cha Durlabha. Oh dear king, may you easily find people who speak good for you and praise you, but people who speak ill of ills and who speak for your welfare are rarely found in this world. This is the meaning of this, literal meaning of this shloka. So there are very, very few people talking about unpleasant truths. It is well-being, but not pleasant. Even if it is conveyed, na vakta shota cha durlabha. It is because Bhishma and Drona All those people tried the method with Duryodhana. Duryodhana was committing a mistake after mistake. And Bhishma, Drona, all those people knew that Duryodhana is digging his own grave. If Duryodhana has to be saved, certain truths have to be revealed. And those truths are going to be unpleasant. They are going to be unpleasant. Okay. Uh, so what has to do? All those people, great stalwarts, tried and they miserably failed. Even Bhagavan Krishna himself failed. So this shloka is said at that time, apriyasya cha patyasya bhakta shota cha durlabha. That means communication is very, very difficult. The equivalent, what beautiful Kural is there. In the Tirukural, there is an adhikaram called Periyare Tunai Kodal. I mean, adhikaram number 45. So, for those who do not know Tamil, as I told you, you can refer to the book, the English or other language meaning equivalent. That one Kural called, it is number is 448. It beautifully says, இடிப்பாறை இல்லாத ஏமரா மன்னன் இடிப்பாறை இல்லாத ஏமரா மன்னன் கெடுப்பார் இலானும் கெடும். This is exactly in Duryodhana's case. In spite of the people telling, he did not listen. And if you do not have someone who can voice against you bluntly, then you will miserably fail. Even if nothing is there, your own attitude will pull you down. So, Idipare illada Emara Mandan means what? A person, a leader. A leader who is not surrounded by someone who can reveal things, who can stop and say, hey, guys, you are doing this bad. Better you correct it. If it is not there, even if nobody is there, he will go down the slope because that is his attitude. His attitude itself will pull you down. So it is very important. We have set the people, at least one or two friends or some guide who are able to boldly tell us. That is very important. That's an important point. So, but if we follow these four, it is called refined speech, which is the best ornament that a person can wear. Finally, one more point to be noted. We do not talk about the importance of Satyam and Ahimsa, etc. at the verbal level. Sorry, we do talk about the importance of Satyam, Ahimsa at the verbal level, but our scriptures do point out that there are exceptions to this rule. And in certain exceptional rules, Asatyam is okay. Certain exceptional rule, Asatyam is okay. For that, there is an equivalent, there is a beautiful Kural which is there, which is in the Adhikaram Vaivai. You can note down Kural number 291 and 292. In fact, what Krishna says, Kuruvalvar says here, what mean? வாய்மை எனப்படுவது யாது எனின் யாது ஒன்றும் தீமை இல்லாத சொல்லல். That means it is a priyam, and then it is something which is not harmful, which is something which can be pleasant, which has to be presented. That's what he says. Then in the next Quran he says 292, பொய்மையும் வாய்மை இடத்த புரை தீர்ந்த நன்மை பயக்கும் எனின். That means if you have to do some bluffing or if you have to do some asatyam, if it is going to do good for the people, if it is going to do good for the people, then you can say that. That is only very, very exceptional circumstances. Not ordinarily you should do. So you can refer to the Quran 291 and 282. Thima ilada solal. That means you should not be hurting. That's what is important. And in case you have to do asatyam, then it has to be for the larger good. So in the certain exceptional cases, himsa is okay. But we should remember, but they are only exceptions. We should not hold on to exceptions and abuse. Therefore, as far as we are concerned, we have to go by general rule only. Only after mastering general rule, we can think of exceptions. Otherwise, the problem will be that every time we tell a lie, we hold on to the exceptions and justify our weakness, which is going to be for our own downfall. That is why they tell a story of a Mahatma. He was going with his disciples, and many people on the way worshipped him and offered him various things. And in one place, it seems they gave him a liquor, and that person, this Mahatma, this great jnani, that person uh, consumed it in front of the disciples. Then the Sishyas thought it is wonderful. Yata Guruhu Tata Shishyaha. So it is normally, Shastra clearly says it is adharma to consume liquor. Dharma Shastra clearly says, Suram na pibet. Liquor should not be consumed. Valluvar gives a adhikaram card, kallullamai, kallunnamai. That adhikaram number also I'll tell you. Kallunnamai. Let me pull it out. Where is that? Yeah, Kal Unnamai. It is Adhikaram number 93. Kal Unnamai. So, Alvar is fully following the Dharma Shastra. He is a jnani. So, he has put it there. So, then this person had only that. So, he served out to the Mahatma and his disciples. So, the Mahatma consumed it. Then the Sishyas thought it is wonderful. So, they also started consuming it. So the Mahatma kept quiet. He didn't say anything. Okay. And then after some time, they were walking down, and then the Mahatma wanted to teach a story to me, lesson to these people. And of course, this is a story, of course, and he wants to teach a lesson. So after a little bit at one place, the metal was being melted. Metal was being melted. And the Mahatma was a great yogi. So he consumed the liquid metal. Then what happened? These disciples did not consume the liquid metal because they know they will be dying. So this guru looked at them and said, I have got the power to take both. Therefore, I can violate certain rules. But you don't use the exception in the name of guru's actions. Therefore, there are exceptions for Satyam Vada and Ahimsa, but we should not abuse them. Therefore, these four conditions are important. And similarly, one more in the Dharma Shastra, elsewhere it says, in fact, if you have to save one family, you can sacrifice one person. If you have to save one town, you can sacrifice one village. If you have to save one nation, you have to sacrifice one city. So it is very careful. You have to understand those things, because often people question Krishna Paramatma's work in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Arjuna, in the war, especially in the war. He went through all tricks. But the whole thing is the Dharma Yuddha, because many people don't understand the Dharma Yuddha. So he went through the means for the larger good, and which is very much justified. In fact, in the for the kings, the Dharma Shastra is very different. For them, there's a specific Dharma Shastra for the kings. Anyhow, so Bhadragiri says, Shiyante khalu bhushanani satatam. Except this ornament of refined speech, all other ornaments fade and wear out. Shiyante. All other ornaments have got wear and tear, whereas Vagbhushanam Bhushanam, the Vagbhushanam, the ornament of refined speech alone is the refined ornament. The word Satatam must be connected with Bhushanam, Satatam Bhushanam. Now let us go to Shloka number 16. Let us go to the Shloka number 16. Let me see it. Yeah. Let us chant. हर्तुयाति न गोचरं किमभिषं पुष्णाति यत्सर्वदा अपि अतिभ्य प्रतिपाद्यमानम् अनिशं प्राप्नोति वृद्धिं परां कल्पां तेषुपि न प्रयाति निधनं विद्या आख्यम् अन्तर्धनं येषां तान् प्रतिमानम् उञ्जत नृपाः कस्तै सह स्पर्धते कस्तैः सह स्पर्धते हर्तुयाति न गोचरं किमभिषं पूष्णाति यत्सर्वदा अपि यत्सर्वदा. Okay, the api is added to the other line. अप्यत्यभ्यः प्रतिपाद्यमानमनिशं प्राप्नोति वृद्धिं परां कल्पान्तेषु न प्रयाति दिदनं Vigya, Vidya, sorry, Vidyakyamantardhanam yesham tan pratimanam unjita nipa unjita nipaha kastai sahaspardate. The glory of walk has been talked about. Now the glory of Vidya is being talked about. Vidya means Kalvi. In Tamil we call it as a Kalvi, education. Here Bhadragiri glorifies Vidya as the greatest wealth. Vidya is the greatest wealth because it can purchase both material prosperity as well as spiritual growth. Material prosperity is based on Veda Purva. Spiritual success is based on the Veda Anta. One is based on the Apara Vidya, another is based on the Para Vidya. Thus, Vidya is the foundation for everything. Okay, we have seen this in our practical experiences also. In some states like Kerala, many people had the ancestral wealth in the form of land. Then they enjoyed the inherited wealth without going to school, college, Veda Adhyayanam, nothing. They did nothing because they had all the wealth. Then the government passed a rule which took away all their lands. Those families which gave value for education could somehow survive because they took job or other. In many families where there was no education, people committed suicide even. There was a pathetic picture in the newspaper that the entire Nambudri Brahmin family committed suicide because of poverty as property was taken. That could they could have reconstructed. Now if they had some knowledge or some skill, we need not go for spiritual knowledge. Even any knowledge is useful. Therefore here Bhadragiri says the Vidya is the greatest wealth. What are the advantages of this wealth? He makes a comparative study or contrast between Vidyadhanam and Anyadhanam, otherwise other types of wealth. Anyadhanam means maybe gold, money, land, shares, insurance, etc. So the first difference is Bhadragiri tells in the third line, Antardhanam. It is the Antardhanam. Knowledge is inner wealth, whereas all others are external wealth, Bahirdhanam. So because of that reason, there is a big advantages in this wealth, which is not there in the others. He says in the first line, "Na, hartutu, hartuhu yati, hartuhu yati gocharam, kimamisham pushnati yas sarvada api." Hartuhu yati na gocharam, na, Nayati. Harta means thief. Choraha. Choraha. Okay. The apaharta. The external wealth is accessible to thief. The land can be misappropriated. And if there's a wealth at home, there's a fear of robbery or burglary. Therefore, Bahirdaram is the Chora Gocharam. Okay, Antardhanam, whereas the Antardhanam is Chora Agocharam. Nobody can steal it. This is the second contrast. And what is the third contrast? Bahidhanam involves lot of maintenance, which requires effort. We have to think about where to invest, effect of inflation, deposit. You can see now a lot of insecurity is coming. Stock market has weakened. The year closing, the stock market is down compared to what it started off in 2022. So constantly there is either it is a fire walking or rope walking. It's a big headache. Whereas to maintain vidya, you don't have any problem. Either you keep on reading or find out some victim whom you can teach. Therefore, maintenance is very difficult there. Whereas here vidya dhanam maintenance is very easy. So the next difference is that the external wealth is taxable, whereas there's no tax for any amount of knowledge you possess. The external wealth will diminish if in my account, if I give it to anyone. That is why it is very difficult to share or give, because the apurnatvam there makes me apurnaha. Therefore, bahirdanam diminishes your sharing. What is the glory of Vidyadhanam? The more you share, more it increases. You get better clarity. People ask, nah, nah, okay, people ask, how come you remember it? Because you keep on studying. Take our Swamiji, he remembers everything by fingerprint because he keeps on studying. So it is very, because every time you see one and the same Gita shlokas give different colors, different shades, different beauty. It is like a diamond. It is not the glory of the teacher. It is the glory of the very subject matter itself, very substance. Not only that, but if there are certain vagueness in the knowledge, we will never know about the vagueness unless we try to express it. So when we try to express it either in speech or in writing, suddenly a big hole or gap comes. Then we have to think again, look for a different angle and fill up the gap. That is why they kept Nididhyasanam and Mananam, Nididhyasanam and Mananam as integral part of learning. That is, sharing the knowledge is some kind of Mananam and Nididhyasanam. Service to the society is only incidental byproduct, but the primary benefit of sharing is clarity. What eligibility I have got even to talk about all these things? I am doing it primarily for my selfishness to improve myself. So more I am forced to study and the more I share, I get the clarity. I always say the class is only, others benefiting is only secondary. The primary one is the one who teaches or one who shares the knowledge. Therefore, external wealth decreases on sharing. Knowledge wealth increases on sharing. That is what he is going to tell. So look at the shloka. Hartuhu gocharam nayati. You have to take the word na vidyakyam antardanam. And there you have to take it from there. When the vidyakyam antardanam, the inner wealth known as vidya, na gocharam yati. It is not accessible for a thief. Hartuhu. So this is the first glory of vidya. What is the second glory? Sarvada kimapisham pushnati. Here the sham means na ananda hai. Kimapisham means inexplicable ananda. Pushnati means it generates, it brings about, it provides an inexplicable ananda known as Vidyananda. Vidyananda. Because ananda is there belonging to several planes. We have got the grossest animalistic pleasures which come by sensory pleasures like eating, drinking, etc. That pleasure is Stula Bhoga, which even animals have got. Thus, any animal can enjoy that pleasure, but it is that is the grossest pleasure, Stula Sukham. And as we go for higher and higher, now in the Manomaya Kosha, we have got a subtler pleasure in the form of love, compassion, kindness, friendship, which are unique to human beings, which are of a higher plane. And all the aesthetic pleasures like art, painting, poetry are of the higher plane level. Beyond Manomaya Kosha, so a scientist derives pleasure studying solar, spending crores of rupees on the equipment. They have collected so much of data that will take months to study. Why do they take so much of pain? It is because the benefit and the joy born out of that is inexplicable. And not only material knowledge, but when it comes to the highest knowledge of Atma, Krishna says in Gita, Ascharyavat paschati kaschidenam, Ascharyavat vadati tataiva chanyah. People are looking at it as a wonder. People are looking, some puzzled by this knowledge. The knowledge of self-discovery gives the highest ananda. All material discovery will give you some ananda. The ultimate ananda, the highest ananda is the knowledge of self-discovery, Atma Jnanam. The subtler it goes, the more inexplicable it becomes. That's why Krishna said, Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jhakarti samyami. Yasyam jhakarti bhutani sanisha pashyato munehe. Second chapter. Therefore, Bhadrahari says, na kimapisham. Kimapi means, na kimapi means na avarnaniyam, that which cannot be expressed. Avarnana, avarnaniyam sukham, that which cannot be expressed. While other pleasures are time bound, like watching Himalayas, you can enjoy that as long as you are there. You can enjoy music as long as you hear the music. Vidya Sukham is Satatam, it is always there. That is why when you, for example, simply you memorize few important shlokas from Bhagavad Gita, assuming you are all studying Bhagavad Gita, and you can take one shloka and then you can repeat it again and again, you will be fascinated by that. And not only that, but na artib artibhyah artibhyah pratipadyamanam artibhyah pratipadyamanam. What is mean by artibhyah pratipadyamanam? So here the arti means na vidyartibhyah, to the student. Arti means vidyartibhyah, students, to a seeker of knowledge. Pratipadyamanam, which when it is imparted or handed over. So when the wealth of knowledge is handed over to the seekers of the knowledge, then param viruddhim prapnoti. This knowledge greatly increases. When anisham, anisham means always. There's no limit. No, you study Gita for next 100 years or 100th time, you will get more and more finer aspects of Gita. You will never get bored. That is why so many people have written so many commentaries on one single Gita. And still a new person comes and comes up with a new angle which is unique. So kalpante shwapi nidhanam na prayati. Knowledge never ends. Knowledge never ends. Once gained, it never gets destroyed at all. And nidhanam means nasham. Nasham na prayati, does not perish, does not end, does not disappear. Kalpanteshwapi, even at the time of kalpa pralaya, the whole world may perish, but not the knowledge. Knowledge cannot end, because if knowledge ends, ignorance will have to begin. If I accept end of knowledge, I am indirectly accepting beginning of ignorance. But the fundamental law of our scriptures is ignorance is anadi. It can never have a beginning. So since ignorance can never have a beginning, knowledge can never have an end. Think it over. Since ignorance can never have a beginning, knowledge can never have an end. Then Bhadrahari calls some kings who have got material wealth and who are proud of material wealth. So Bhadrahari addresses those kings and says, "Oh kings, you have got external wealth. You have got external wealth, and these wise people have got internal wealth. So don't compete with them. Don't be jealous of them, because you can never compete with wise men with regard to wealth." Therefore, he says, "Tan tan pratimanam tan pratimanam na ujjata tan pratimanam ujjata." May you give up your rivalry, jealousy, enmity, and abhimana. Tan means with regard to those wise people with the inner wealth. He nripaha, ho kims, na kaha taihi saha spardate. Kaha taihi saha spardate. Who can have rivalry or who can compete with those wise people? So you will never succeed. So if you compete with the wise people, you will never succeed. So there's a beautiful Subhashitam which is quite popular, which I will share. I will share that. Then there's a beautiful shloka. Nachora haryam nacharaja haryam na bhraturya bhajyam barakari. Na yaye krite bhardate eva nityama vidyadanam sarvadanam pradanam. Nachora haryam nacharaja haryam na bhraturbhagyam nacha bharakari vaye krute vardate eva nityama nityam nityam vidyadanam sarvadana pradanam. So the fourth line is very, very famous here. Na choraharyam. Na choraharyam means the knowledge of wealth cannot be stolen by thief. Nacha rajaharyam. The kings cannot take it away in the name of tax. Na bhratrubhajyam. Brothers cannot fight for sharing this property. Once there's a property in the house, then there's a big problem. Nobody can come and take away your knowledge. Nacha bharakari. The inner wealth is not at all a burden. Bharam means burden. The inner wealth is never a burden. External wealth can become a very big burden. The internal wealth cannot become a burden at all. Any amount of knowledge, there is no bharam at all. Viyate krute Vardata eva nityam. Now, yaye krite, when expanded or shared, now vardate eva nityam. It increases forever. So, vidyadanam sarvadanat pradhanam. So, the wealth of knowledge is superior to all other wealth. Here, I wanted to share one more thing. Unfortunately, in the modern definitions, in the modern curriculum, especially in the American universities, even in Singapore, and people have got what do you call it as a relative grading. That means it's all percentile. It's all about the bell curve, all those grading system, where I should score more and others could score less, so that I am getting a better grade, which is one of the worst system that we can have. Because what happens is it promotes only selfishness. Unfortunate. I would encourage all the university students to teach their fellow students, because many people may not go to the professors. There will be some brilliant students in the class. Reach out to them and they should teach them. The more they teach, more it will be useful for them, more it will be useful. That is very important. That has to be understood. Move on. Then let us go to sloka number 20. Okay, let me chant the shloka. विद्यानाम नरस्य रूपमधिकं प्रच्छन्न गुप्तं धनं विद्या भोगकरी यशः सुखकरी विद्या गुरूणां गुरुः विद्या बन्धुजनो विदे विदेश गमने विद्या परदेवता विद्या राजसु पूज्यते न हि धनं विद्याहीनः पशुः विद्या नाम नरस्य रूपमधिकं प्रच्छन्न गुप्तं धनं विद्या भोगकरी यशः सुखकरी विद्या गुरूणां गुरुः विद्या बन्धुजनो विदेश गमने विद्या परदेवता विद्या राजसु पूज्यते न हि धनं विद्याहीनः पशुः. This is another popular shloka. The last expression is often quoted. Vidya vihinaha pashuhu. Man without knowledge is equal to animal. So what are the glories of Vidya? Vidya narasya adhikam rupam. Knowledge alone adds beauty to a person. It is an invisible, it is an invisible wealth. It is an invisible wealth. Okay. The invisible beauty. So how do you say this knowledge adds to beauty? To understand it, you should know the definition of beauty. Beauty is that which gives joys to the observer. Beauty is defined as the that which gives joy. Now, ugliness disturbs the mind. Beauty gives the joy. So, what is the definition of joy? An object of joy is that which attracts people towards itself. Saundaryam is equal to Sukha Pradham is equal to Akarshakam. That is why Krishna was called Krishna. Krishna means Sarvam Sabipam Karshati iti Krishna. Sarvam Swamipam Karshati iti Krishna. One who drags everyone to himself is Krishna. Krish means to drag. Now we say the Vidyavan is beautiful because through Vidya he gives Ananda to all people. He attracts many people, students or seekers of knowledge in hundreds and thousands. The beauty is not physical, the beauty is subtle. That is why Vyasacharya is glorified in the Gita. It is said, Namostu te Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vinda Pulla Aravinda Ayata Patra Netra. Vyasacharya is described as a beautiful person with eyes like a Pulla Aravinda Patram, fully blossomed lotus petals. Ayatanam means fully blossomed. Fully bloomed Netra means the eyes. Pulla Aravinda Ayata Patra Netra, one whose eyes are attractive, long like the petals of a fully blossomed lotus. Now everybody knows from the scriptures that Vyasacharya was the ugliest person. It is clearly said that Vyasa was ugly. Now, Masura Saraswati Swamiji, who wrote this Dhyana Shloka, also knows that. Then why did he describe Vyasa Pulla Aravinda Ayata Patra Netra? It is because he wants to say that he was an attractive person, not physically, but in a subtle manner. To symbolize that, he gives a physical description. That is why in the first line it is said, Namostu Vyase Vishala Buddhe. The I stands for knowledge. Na Jnana Shakshu Vishalam. Therefore, they are so beautiful. So Vidya Nama Narasya Rupamadikam. So here Nama means Prasiddhi, well known. It is well known. Prachanna Guptam Dhanam. It is a concealed sea wealth. It is not seen outside. It is not seen outside. It is like some people concealing gold biscuit within the walls, right? So it is naturally here. It is naturally concealed. By seeing the head, you know whether the person is educated or not. That is why Arjuna asked the question, na na sthitehe sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. Therefore, it is prachannam. Prachannam means concealed. Concealed. Therefore, Guptam, well protected, secured well. It is concealed. Therefore, even secured well. So, Vidya Bohakari, this knowledge gives all the bhogas, sense pleasures. Vidya gives material pleasures also. Yashas Sukakari, it can give fame. And Ananda born out of fame. It is because it is because the more knowledge the person is, the more well known he becomes. He gets the Nobel Prize. Now, chemistry, physics, mathematics, it will come automatically. Vidya Gurunam Guruhu. Vidya Gurunam Guruhu. Knowledge is the guru of all the gurus. In fact, Thiruvalluvar beautifully says, two adhikarams. Again, when I study Thirukural along with the Neeti Shatakam, I tend to conclude, this is my observation, okay? Nobody has said. Because Thiruvalluvar also was about 2000 years ago. Bhadrahari is also, we do not know, some 2000 years ago he was there. We do not know who came first and who was next. But there is so much of similarity between the two. Let me give you one analysis which I did. See, Bhadragiri is addressing the kings. Most of these shlokas are all addressing the kings. Here also, in the Tirukural, there are two adhikarams called Kalvi and Kallamai. And they are coming in the second part of the Tirukural. There are two major sections. First section is Arathupal, second one is Purutpal. In the Purutpal, the first topic is Arasial. Arasial means modern literal meaning politics. So again, this Kalvi and Kallamai. Kalvi means knowledge. Kallamai means not getting knowledge, and that is coming in the Arasial section in the Tirukural also. Here also he is talking to the king. So for me, when I read these things, it appears that Tiruvalluvar either followed Bhadrahari or Bhadrahari followed Tiruvalluvar. One of them should be there. We do not know, but it is beautiful actually. So that is very important. So here, of course, I'll give the different remaining meaning later. One of the Kurals I want you to note down is 410. Vilangodu makkal anayar ilangunul katrarodu enayavar. Okay, if a person is not educated, he is equivalent to an animal. That is what he is going to say. We will see further details in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Magi Magishaha. Gobrahmanebhyo Shubhamasnityam Loka Samastat Sukhino Bhavantu. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Krishnarpanamastu. Hari Om.